Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. It's morning for me. We're early. I hope everybody got the memo. We are early today because there is a lot going on in the world. There is a lot going on in the world. So, wanted to get right to it, especially since I have a plane to catch. Hi, Sam. What's up, Colton? What's up, Mr. Brokenaz? What's up, Joseph? What's up, Zero Divisor? What's up, DZ? It seems like a lot of you kind of already know why we're early. Matthew, sad day. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Angela. Hello, Inks Pixels. What's up? Uh, yeah, I think based on the chat so far, you all know why we're here. I'm not trying to make light of it at all, but I got woken up by that news, says Inks Pixels. So did I. What's up, Doug? What's up, Joshua? It's good to see you. Hi, Susan. Hi, Amos. Hello, Aceto. Hello, Zero Divisor. JR, this is a sad day for journalism. The free press is on its deathbed. It's a scary day in history, says Sam. Good morning, Daniel. How are you? So, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Everybody so far knows why we're here and why we're early. And I'm sure that anybody coming later will, they'll get it. Yesterday somebody asked me to recommend a song. This is all connected, I swear. But somebody asked me to recommend a song, which I really appreciated, and I did. I recommended Be Honest by Craig Finn. I hope you all got to check it out. I'm going to recommend a song today that I really highly recommend everybody listens to at some point throughout your day. And it's a song called The President's Dead by Ockerville River. Now, the song on its surface is about JFK. And it's sung from the perspective of somebody who lived through it, and they were just talking about what their day was like when they found out about JFK and how it made them kind of think about the world and think about their place in it and think about the kind of pain of recognizing the sadness and evils that can exist in the world. And it was, using that event to have that moment. That's kind of the broader implication of the song. And so the reason I recommend that song, the reason I hope you all listen to it today is because that was the song that was going through my head when I woke up today and the first thing I saw was that Julian Assange has been arrested. I was having a similar day to the person in the song, The President's Dead. I was waking up and went and got some coffee for myself and poured a cup for my fiance as well. I reminded her to send me the guest list for our wedding. You're all on it, by the way. But I reminded her to send me the guest list for the wedding because I was going to go through that while I'm traveling because I leave for Texas today. And I had a couple reminders set for myself to remember my toiletries, and I spent some time petting Lucy, my cat, and then I gave her breakfast, which she, of course, was whining for. She is actually my alarm clock. I mean, we set an alarm, but in reality, Lucy's our alarm. And while I was doing all that, Julian Assange was having his cat taken away from him, and he was being arrested on the behalf of the United States. There was, to my understanding, and this is all breaking, we're all finding out about this as we speak. There was little press that was actually there while it was happening. In fact, a Russian outlet was among the only outlets that stuck around. An article in the New York Times, I believe it was the New York Times, was talking about the whole event, and then in referencing Chelsea Manning, they used her dead name. I don't think that was a journalistic error. I think it was just an act of cruelty. That's what I think it was. So this is one of those moments in human history where you kind of take a step back and you think about the world at large, think about your place in it, think about just kind of the sadness at knowing what we humans are capable of. And the fact that there are so many members of the press, in the United States in particular, that are not only complicit, but in some cases celebratory of this is beyond disturbing. And again, I used to say the media structure in the United States is toxic. I've evolved on that to say we don't have a media structure in the United States, and that's toxic. If you consider yourself a member of the press and you're celebrating what's going on with Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange, you're not a journalist. You're a propagandist and a stenographer. That's just what you are. I'm not a journalist either. But at least I don't pretend to be. So I know I promised we were going to start on something light and fun today. But unfortunately, the world happens. And it's, I have, I've done some of the visuals for Julian Assange. They've been doing online visuals for a while now for him. And you can search Unity4J, the number 4J.com is the best place to go for all that. And I've done a few of them. A lot of times on the weekends, which is sometimes a difficult time for me, so I haven't been able to do a ton of them. But I've done them when I can. And the last one I did was actually Sunday. They did a full weekend one, and so I did an hour on Sunday. I don't know if any of you got to catch it, but I remember, at the end you kind of give them a message, and the message I gave was, here's hoping we have a happy ending to this. Happy ending being he, gets a better situation and as quickly as possible. And I could hear that in my head, too, when I saw that he had been arrested. Because it doesn't look like my well wish is going to come true. And, you got to stay positive, but you also got to acknowledge the reality that's there. They arrested this man on the behalf of the United States. They're trying to get him on charges of hacking and conspiracy because, they wouldn't be able to get him on much in regards to publishing, which is what he did. But and they're saying 5 years, but I don't have any confidence in the way our justice system is going to treat Julian Assange. And I'm basing that off of the way they treated Edward Snowden and the way they treated Chelsea Manning. And there's probably other whistleblowers that we've never even heard about. I'm sure there are. When it comes to press freedom, the U.S. barely ranks in the top 50 of the countries in the world, deservedly so. And in lieu of what just happened, they should rank lower. Next time, a study is done, I'd imagine they'll rank lower. I'd be surprised if they didn't, at least. So let's go to the article. I did pull up one article. Again, this is all unfolding in real time. So we're just kind of going with it the best we can, but let's look into this some. The U.S. charges WikiLeaks founder Assange with hacking conspiracy. U.S. prosecutors announced charges on Thursday. That's today, as of the recording of this. Against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, accusing him of conspiring with former Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to gain access to a government computer. So this is one of the photos they got of him as he was arrested. This is not a healthy guy. And I'm not trying to be, I don't mean that in a shallow way whatsoever, nor am I in any way trying to be remotely humorous. I'm being serious. Like, this is not a healthy guy. He's been he is in desperate need of care that he's not been getting. He had been denied sunlight. All right, so Assange, arrested by British police in London and carried out of Ecuador's embassy there, faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison on the American charges. His London arrest paved the way for his possible extradition to the United States. So the Justice Department said Assange, 47, was arrested under an extradition treaty between the United States and Britain and charged with conspiracy to commit computer intrusion. It said that Assange, in March 2010, engaged in a conspiracy to assist Chelsea Manning in cracking a password stored on the U.S. Department of Defense computers. And, of course, Chelsea Manning is in jail. She was jailed on March 8th after being held in contempt by a judge in Virginia for refusing to testify before a federal grand jury. WikiLeaks has faced criticism from U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. In a 2017 speech when he was the CIA director, Pompeo called Assange a fraud. How many times has WikiLeaks had to retract something? 0. 0 times. How many times have our intelligence agencies misled us on something? I put misled us on quotes because that's a very diplomatic way of saying lied to us. How many times have they done that? How many times have they done that this week, mind you? But yeah, Mike Pompeo, Julian Assange, he's the fraud. Cool story, bro. Cool story. That's a great story. Let's see what else there is to this. I mean, right now we're just trying to watch this unfold in real time, and like everybody else, I'm just kind of caught up in the sadness of it all. I'm frustrated. And the complacency is mind-blowing. The celebratory nature by some is even more mind-blowing. And I do not think... I think the worst thing that could happen to Julian Assange is if he is in fact brought to the United States, which it looks like that's going to happen. In fact, by the time this, by the time this stream is over, he might be on his way there. But right now, we just know he's arrested, and it's nice to be on a stream of like-minded people, to know that you're not the only person thinking how outrageous this is and what a what an assault on the concept of press freedom this is, what an assault on the concept of democracy this is, how disgusting it is the way Chelsea Manning is treating, how disgusting it is the way Julian Assange is treating, and how that is a warning shot to the rest of the populace. Don't do something like this, or this is what's going to happen to you. And I guess what I can leave you guys with in regards to this topic is Unity4J is where you can go if you want to know what you can do for help. That's just Unity, the number 4J.com. And follow that trend on Twitter. Follow Susie Dawson on Twitter. Those are the places you can go to find out what you can do to help, to find out where there's going to be protest, where there's going to be, where and when there will be online visuals, what platforms, what times, what media outlets are doing what. And, for the Get Your News On with Ron Music Monday spirit, I do encourage everybody to listen to the song The President's Dead by Ockerville River. Highly recommend that song. I know I'll be listening to it probably more than once today. All right, let's move on let me go to you guys and get some of your thoughts first, and then we're going to move on to some other topics. And we're going to end on something a little lighter, for the sake of all of our sanities, I like this. OGOM makes a USA unlawfully seized Assange. That's good. Anyone know what happened to Assange's cat? I saw something on social media that they took the cat. Clayton Paul says, insert Jimmy's Star Spangled Banner. That would be appropriate. That would be very appropriate. Dan says he's a hero, not a criminal. Jana says, if we don't protest this, the U.S. of corporations are coming after independent media next. Well, they already have. Some of you guys are saying this is hot. This is heartbreaking. Sagittarius says he's being arrested for committing journalism. It is a sad day. Mike, I think Mike sums it up. What a fucked up morning. That's fair. That's fair. We were going to do a segment on our favorite words. That's what we were going to do. But, all right, let's move on to some other news. And again, what you can do, Unity4J.com. Unity, the number 4J.com. Hashtag Unity4J on Twitter. Susie Dawson is a good person to follow. Christine Assange, Julian's mom. There's stuff you can do and places to find information. And, you got to stay positive, but you also, this is the reality. And, again, President's Dead, Ockerville River. Listen to that song. All right. So, here's something really weird. This is really, really weird. Get ready for this. This is going to freak me out. Guys, David sends us this. I get weirded out by eye stuff. All right? Like eye stuff. I am one of those people. I shots don't bother me, but I got to get a shot. Whatever. I'll get a shot in my arm. Make it in my right arm because I'm left-handed. You got to tell people that. Otherwise, they just assume they go right for your left arm. You'll be like, I'm a southpaw. I'm a lefty, pretty much in every way imaginable. Put in my right arm. But eyes, I get weird. Whenever I have an eye appointment, I get weirded out. When they put that thing close to your eyes and they poof the air, I get freaked out. I'm like, something's going in my eye that shouldn't. I'm weird about eye stuff. I'm really weird about eye stuff. I get nervous. I shake a little bit. I just get that's why I don't have contacts, because it freaks me out. Like I'm worried I wouldn't. There's something about eyes that. Anyway, so check this out. Now I have something to be very scared and paranoid about for the rest of my freaking life, because this happened. Boom. She went to the hospital for an infection. Doctors found 4 bees living in her eye, eating her tears. Holy shit. This is from the Washington Post. Democracy dies in darkness. They're doing what they can to help. 29-year-old woman had no idea why her eye was swollen shut. She was in unbearable pain and could not stop tearing up. The Taiwanese woman said she was confused about why an issue she thought was an infection kept getting worse. So the woman went to Fuin University Hospital in Taiwan. The doctors didn't find a bacterial infection. While looking at the eyes through a microscope, though, the hospital's head of, I don't know how to pronounce that, witnessed something he hadn't seen before. Insect legs were wiggling from one of her eye sockets. Holy shit. He yanked out a small bee, known as a sweat bee, and it was alive. The doctor wasn't done. Soon he extracted a second sweat bee and a third. And finally, a 4th bee was pulled from the woman's eyelid. So, craving salt, the bees had been feeding off of her tears. The doctor said at a news conference last week, describing the medical diagnosis as the world's first. The insects had made a new home in her eyelids. That is, until they were all removed. And they were still alive. They were living off of this. All right, so the person's name is Hay. So how did the sweat beads end up camping out in this woman's eye? So Hay suspects it all started the previous day. She was taking part in a festival known as Tomb Sweeping Day. So what you do is you visit and you tidy up a relative's grave. So what she was doing while she was participating in this is she was pulling out weeds. All of a sudden, she felt something get in her eye. Thinking it was only dirt, she cleaned her eye out with water and did not rub her eyes much for the rest of the day. She didn't think much of it until her eyes began to swell up that night, and she experienced a stinging pain that made her tear up. Wow! So she was just pulling weeds, and then one of these sweat beads just went into her eye. She's just thinking it's dust, whatever, washes it out. But then it doesn't change because it wasn't dust. It was a living sweat bee that ended up, and I don't know, did 3 others fly in? Or did they breed in there? Well, I guess, there would have to be 2, so I guess at least 2 flew in. Unless, unless, of course, did the one bee lay eggs? Holy fuck. This is Jesus. This can happen. This is 4 living insects were living in this woman's eyes, feeding off of her tears. I'm never going outside again. I want to get one of those like bubbles that they, I think they use them. You can play with them on the water where it's basically like a giant hamster wheel, but like for a person. I got to get me one of those. They're going to be like, Ron, this is kind of weird. It'll be hard for me to do stand-up. They'll roll me out on stage and it'll be like, wah, 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 and they're like, we can't understand anything he's saying. He's really got to sell these hand gestures because we don't know any of the words. Why can't he just? And I'm like, I can't go out there. A sweat bee might live inside of my face. All right? I'm busy staying inside this thing because a sweat bee might live inside my face. I'm not really going to do any of this. I like participating in life. I really do. I'm going to let it all in. Except for sweat bee. I'm not letting that in. I'm going to take my chances. But I will think about this every time I pull a weed for the rest of my life. Which, I live in Los Angeles. I have an apartment, so I don't have any yard work to be done. And it's just going to stay that way. It's going to stay that way forever. It's going to have to. I'll just have to avoid pulling weeds forever. Sweat bees, like where do they... that can happen. That is insane. They were living there. Well, I'm glad So I think the woman's okay, which is good, obviously. Oh, here we go. Well, here's a little bit of hopefully comfort here. Um, the woman will be fine. The bees will be fine. This is what one of the doctors is saying. This is not something that people need to concern themselves with. I don't expect we'll ever see it again. That's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to think. Actually, they were like, I'm surprised it took this long for something like this to happen. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully that's true. This is the first time they've ever seen anything like this. Hopefully it is a crazy anomaly. But I will have an irrational paranoia of it for a long time. Man, I guess it could have been. I guess it could have been worse. I mean, at least I feel like if they lived in your nose, that would be even worse. But then they wouldn't. They probably wouldn't get the salts that they needed from the tears. They probably couldn't get anything like that in the nose. I mean, I guess like your snot or something, but I don't know if that's the same. I don't know if that has the same potency as tears in regards to a salt factor. Wow. All right, sweat bees living in people's faces. Take that in for your Thursday. All right. So speaking of the concept of freedom of speech, I should have done this story right after. I would have transitioned a little well. So this guy, Devin Nunes, he just really hates freedom of speech in general, doesn't he? Here's him. All right. So Devin Nunes, he's suing the Sacramento Bee, and he's suing. I think he's trying to sue Twitter too for defamation. And his whole thing with Twitter is that like there were parody accounts about him. On Monday, Devin Nunes sued the Fresno Bee and McClatchy for $150 million. It follows the lawsuit Nunes recently filed against Twitter, in which he seeks $250 million and accuses the social media giant of defamation and shadow banning his tweets, so no one can see them. Nunes has no hope of winning either suit. I remember at one point he was saying something about how Twitter, had no right to, dictate which tweets get shown more by other people. And he was saying stuff about how it's an overreach on their part. And I was like, well, this guy's absolutely terrible pretty much all the time. But that's actually a valid statement. But then he went a step further and he's like, and there's a parody of me, so I'm suing you. And it's like, oh, okay, you're completely 100% batshit crazy. I remember we covered it when he said something about to the effect, but this was before he went defamation of character crazy. And we kind of covered it and we were saying, wow, this guy is a terrible politician who's wrong about virtually everything. But his statement as far as social media kind of overreaching when it gets involved with censorship, well, that's true. But then he took it into ridiculous land. It was like, I'm suing everyone for defamation. There's a Nunes cow meme out there. Defamation. I'm suing you. All right, so here's this ridiculous thing this guy's trying to do. All right. The Tulia Republican should instead use his considerable influence to focus on what is important to his constituents. Absolutely. Imagine that. Nunes claimed in his latest lawsuit that the Bee and parrot company McClatchy defamed him by publishing a story last year about a party aboard a yacht that was owned by a Napa Valley winery, of which Nunes was an investor and limited partner. The story never said Nunes was on the boat or took part in the party. The Bee did report, based on court records, that a winery employee assigned to the party alleged men on the yacht did drugs and engaged with sex workers while on a cruise in the San Francisco Bay. The cruise was won in a charity fundraiser. The Bee's basis for the story were court documents. Okay, that's a fairly reliable source, which came from a settlement that the former winery worker reached with the company she sued over civil rights violations, emotional distress, and sexual harassment. Nunes' defamation lawsuits begins by making several assertions. We fact-checked them here. McClatchy and its co-conspirators relentlessly attacked plaintiff both in print and digitally, falsely and maliciously accusing plaintiff of horrible crimes. And the story never accuses Nunes of any crime. It does, however, show what he invested in. All right? Falsely attributing him to knowledge he did not have, the story quotes a winery representative saying none of the investors was involved in managing the winery and no one on the yacht had any connections. Okay? Implying he was involved with cocaine or underage prostitutes. The story never states or implies Nunes did drugs or had sex. In fact, the story went a step further. They assert that Nunes is a virgin. They listened to all of his ideas, and everyone simultaneously decided nobody would fuck this guy. So that's what he's really That would be his defamation suit. He's listening. Look, I've gotten laid. I've gotten laid. I've gotten laid. I'm suing. Story didn't actually make the assessment that Nunes is a virgin. Nor am I making that assessment. I don't want him to sue me next. I have no idea Devin Nunes' sex life. I don't care to know. Just so we're clear. I don't want to get sued. That's just time I don't want to waste. All right, the reality is Nunes is looking to harass the Bee and its parent company over a bogus lawsuit that will cost time and money to defend. All right. Devin Nunes really hates freedom of speech. Really loves You know what it looks like? It looks like one of those situations where like he just learned about the concept of defamation and he really wanted to like crack down on people. Like he was pissed off about stuff that was going on, so he's like, defamation. Huh, could I claim this? And then somebody was like, not really, but he's like, I'll pay you. And they're like, sure, we'll try it. Why not? Let's throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. Devin Nunes. Let that sink in. We live in a world where if you're a whistleblower and a publisher, you get grossly mistreated, and you are treated with nothing short of brutality. But if you're an elected official and you just want to, sue newspapers for doing their job, well, you got a shot to do that. You can sue over parody, sue over news articles that were accurately sourced. Yeah, you can do that. You're an elected official. That's great. Freedom of the press. We for sure have that here. Freedom of the press. One of the pillars the United States as we know it was founded upon. And we sure are spitting upon that concept now, aren't we? Just a little bit. Devin Nunes. Way to go, buddy. All right. So this story actually comes from the Miserable Liberal shared this first, Steph Semerano, over on the Jimmy Dore show. You guys know Steph. She shared this. I really liked it. I thought it was interesting and wanted to cover it on the show. Students and faculty march for non-tenure track faculty unionization. Non-tenure track faculty delivered a letter April 2nd addressed to President Jonathan Veach, Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dean of the College Wendy Sternberg, and the Board of Trustees requesting that Occidental stay neutral as NTT faculty pursue unionization through Service Employees International Union. Dimitri Garcia, lead external organizer of SEIU Local 721, said the unionizing process began when the union approached the NTT faculty at Occidental to gauge their interests. After a certain number of NTT faculty signed cards indicating their intention to vote yes, NTT filed for union election with the National Labor Relations Board. The letter urged the Occidental administration to uphold the college values by remaining neutral. We ask that you honor our college's mission statement and our tradition of social justice, fairness, equality, and integrity, and respect our right to organize without interference from the administration. Around 100 students, that's awesome, around 100 students gathered April 2nd in support of NTT faculty and their plans to attempt to unionize. In a march organized in collaboration with the Student Labor Alliance, students first convened in front of the library. Members of the SLA and NTT faculty, including NTT Assistant Professor of English, Spencer Daxon, and NTT Professor of Education and Director of the Community Literacy Center, Desiree Zamorano, who is related to Steph Semerano, spoke in support of unionization. We want to be respected as the community builders, as part of the team that we are, Zamorano said. And the best way we can do this is by collaborating, by organizing, by becoming part of the union. Students, many wearing purple, the color of the SEIU Local 721, chanted, sang songs, and held signs with phrases like, "We stand with NTT faculty." That's awesome. That's really freaking cool. That is really freaking cool. And if you're asking, do they need to unionize? I will tell you, as somebody who used to teach at the college level, the answer is yes. They, along with every other institution in the country, needs to unionize. I used to be an adjunct college instructor. I can't say professor because I'm not a professor. I don't have my PhD. But I was an instructor because you can be an instructor with just a master's, which I do have a master's. And again, I've said this before. I'll say it again, and I'm being literal. Where I taught and I got paid more money to perform at one college than I got paid to teach a course for an entire semester. And college performers are not overpaid. College performers are paid a fair wage for what they deliver. Teachers are grossly underpaid. It was unbelievable. When I was an opening act at comedy clubs, I was a touring opening act. I wasn't even the headliner. I was the opening act at the comedy club. The person who was on stage while people were still waiting for their drinks. That was me for a lot of years. I made more money a year doing that than I would have made as a full-time instructor. Because it was offered to me. And I looked at it and I said, this would be a pay cut. And it's not as fun as doing stand-up. I enjoyed teaching. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy it. I would do it on the side when tour dates were slow, or I would do it online. They offered me a full-time position. It would have been a pay cut. I was in an opening act. Eventually, at one point, I lived in my car. So, yeah, adjuncts need to unionize. Big time. Adjunct faculty, non-tenure track faculty. Because when you don't have tenure, that's when they can screw you over easiest. So it's good to see this happening, and this really needs to happen. There are situations where they are using temp services for adjunct teaching at this point, and the wages keep getting lower and lower. So yeah, there needs to be union protections across the country, everywhere, and I applaud the NTT for taking the lead in this. I think this is a good thing, and I hope this spreads. Strikes spread. They're contagious. This isn't a strike. This is an effort for unionization, but something like that is contagious as well. And I hope they get it. And not only do I hope they get it, but I hope it spreads. All right. So a little bit of good news. And we're going to do another story and then one more thing. And then we're going to dismount a little early today because I have a plane to catch and we started early. Here we go. This is something interesting. Ex-Pope Benedict breaks silence on church's sex abuse crisis and blames the sexual revolution and liberals. All right, I haven't read this article yet, so let's everybody buckle in for this mental gymnastics. Pope Benedict has broken his silence in a rare essay on the sex abuse crisis in the Catholic Church, claiming it was caused in part by the sexual revolution of the 1960s and the liberalization of the Church's moral teaching. In the 11-page analysis published today in a German magazine for priests, Klusbot, the former pope, also reveals some of the behind-the-scenes struggles between the Vatican and American bishops in handling the crisis, and admits that the Vatican was initially overwhelmed in dealing with it. The behind-the-scenes struggles, I guess, refers to covering shit up. That's a nice way of saying covering shit up. He talked about the struggles of covering shit up. All right. Catholic News Agency first published the letter in English on Wednesday afternoon. A top Vatican official has confirmed the essay's authenticity to CNN. Since his resignation in 2013, Benedict has really left his monastery high on a hill in Vatican City. In his farewell address as Pope, Benedict promised to stay hidden from the world. That was nice of you, Benedict. Though he has spoken out occasionally on church matters. Well, Benedict, you should have kept that promise. Nearly 92, Benedict appears to be frail, but in relatively good health. Okay. Since I myself had served in a position of responsibility as shepherd of the church at the time of the public outbreak of the crisis, and then I didn't fulfill my obligation because I just kind of left the post because I felt like it. And then I still get to live a life of luxury. Isn't that great? You're supposed to pretty much be the Pope until you die, unless there's some big circumstance that you can't be. This dude pretty much just decided, I don't want to do this anymore. And they were like, okay, here's your life of luxury. You still have no needs or wants for the rest of your fucking life. Oh, and we don't pay a dime in taxes. Man, George Carlin said it best. When it comes to pure bullshit, a businessman can't hold a candle to a clergyman. Can't hold a tax-exempt candle from the church to a clergyman. Carlin said it best. Still true. All right, let's see what else. All right, so his comments on the sex abuse crisis seem certain to inflame tensions between conservative class Catholics who largely blame homosexuality and lax sexual ethics for the scandal, and liberals who say there is no known connection between homosexuality and pedophilia. It's amazing to me that anybody still needs to make statements like this. I mean, it's mind-blowing that there's no known connection between homosexuality and pedophilia. People still need to say that. People still need to make statements like that. Because there's certain people that still entertain those notions. Oh yeah, pedophilia, it's because of homosexuality. There's still people that do that mental gymnastics. That do that type of homophobic smearing. I guess it's people like Pope Benedict that say stuff like that. All right, so let's see what else is in his dumb essay. This is an embarrassing letter. The idea... Okay, so here's some people criticizing his letter, saying it's embarrassing, which I think is that's a very diplomatic way to put it. Embarrassing. I would say just straight out cruel and vicious and beyond tone deaf. In the essay, Benedict asserts that the changes in traditional moral standards on sexuality, both in society and within the Catholic Church, laid the groundwork for sex abuse. Okay. The extensive collapse of the next generation of priests. In various seminaries, homosexual cliques were established, which acted more or less openly and significantly changed the climate in the seminaries. That's what Pope Benedict's claiming. See, and there are people who believe no matter what the Pope says, he is speaking through a divine power. That a divine power is speaking through the Pope. So I don't know if Pappas, which is what that's referred to, I don't know if Pappas believes that Pope Benedict still does that or not. Because he is still alive and still speaking, but he's no longer the Pope. So is he still, God's puppet, or is it Francis now? I don't know. I don't know how a Pappas would dissect that. Mainly because I don't look much into it, because I think the idea that some human is speaking through divine intervention is beyond absurd. Especially when they say shit like this. So there you go. Someone connected to the Catholic Church, and someone quite powerful at that, is speaking out about sex abuse. They're not saying, we covered this up and this was morally repulsive, those responsible need to be brought to justice. They didn't say we have a huge systemic problem. What they did say was, it's because of sex. It's because of people's views on sex have evolved, and it's because of gay priests. That's what it is. That's the cause of all this. Good job, Pope Benedict. Good job, guys. I got to end on something a little lighter here before I go to the chat, and we're going to chat it up some today. But what I want to tell you is that there is something to look forward to this weekend. First of all, I'm going to be on the road with Graham Elwood. We're going to be in Texas, and I can't wait to see some of you guys in Texas. Guys and gals. I didn't mean, I said it as a, But Game of Thrones is kicking back in this weekend. Admittedly, I love Game of Thrones. I've been rewatching some of the seasons to get prepped. Me and my fiance, we've been rewatching the seasons. I will be traveling when the premiere happens on Sunday. I actually have a show in San Antonio that night. And my fiance said she doesn't want to wait. She's like, let's just watch it. I was like, all right, cool. So I'll be watching it on my own, talking with her about it later. But the interesting thing here is you can actually really dissect contemporary American politics via Game of Thrones. You can do that, and here's how. Look at the different groups in Game of Thrones. So first we have the free folk. The wildlings is what they're called. Now, the wildlings live beyond the wall. They live outside the wall. The wall is basically the civilization of Game of Thrones, where there are the different kingdoms. And the wildlings live beyond that. They want no government interference in their life. They want to just kind of do their own thing and be left alone. And the wildlings are mostly sexually frustrated dudes for the most part. The wildlings are the libertarians. There you go. In this analogy, the wildlings, they're the libertarians. Want no government intervention, living on their own, doing their own thing. They're the libertarians. So next you have the Tyrells. The Tyrells are a little bit powerful, but they're also kind of inherently weak, and it's set up that way. The Lannisters and the other powerful dynasties, they like the fact that Tyrells are just kind of neutral. The Tyrells supply them with what they need when they need it. But they're inherently weak, and they're not really going to do anything to act out. Some of the Tyrells have some pretty good hearts, and they have some good ideas, and a lot of times when that's the case for them, it doesn't always work out so great. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it doesn't always work out so great for them. Set up to be weak, likes to rub elbows with power. Some are just as corrupt as the powerful. Some have good hearts, but usually those good hearts are pushed out as quickly as possible. Sounds like the Democratic Party, doesn't it? The Tyrells are the Democrats. So next, you have the Lannisters. They are in bed with the big banks. They rub elbows with fringe right-wing religious groups who are extremists. They want a pursuit of endless war. They like the economy of war because they benefit from it. Those are the Republicans. Clearly, Lannisters, they're the Republicans. No doubt about it. So you got Republicans, Democrats, you got Libertarians. And then you have another group. You have Khaleesi. She's the mother of dragons. And you have Jon Snow. And you have his group. Now, they want to break the wheel. They're tired of the status quo. But they believe that we can build a better world and we can have a better polis. Also, they're very good with animals. They're the progressives. Those are the progressives. Jon Snow, Khaleesi, they're the progressives. Now, there's another group here going on, and those are the White Walkers. The White Walkers are basically these big ice zombies that want to destroy the world and have the power to do it. The progressives, Jon Snow, they're kind of teaming up with the wildlings, the libertarians, and they're realizing they don't agree on everything, but they do agree on some big problems. And maybe if they cooperate together, they can help create this better world. The progressives are the group who are most concerned about the White Walkers. They're screaming at the hilltops, the White Walkers are a big threat, the White Walkers are a big threat, the White Walkers are a big threat. The Lannisters, the Republicans, aren't convinced that the White Walkers are even real. The White Walkers, that's climate change. Boom! Progressives are worried about it. Republicans not convinced it's real. Climate change. And that is how you can learn everything you need to know about contemporary American politics via Game of Thrones. And if you're a fellow watcher like me, I hope you enjoy it this Sunday, or I hope you're enjoying the season if you see a clip of this later. So there you have it. Let me go to the chat, see what you guys are saying. We're going to dismount a little early today because I have a plane to catch. Kim, what is the charge the UK arrested him on? It is on behalf of the United States, and it is on conspiracy and hacking. Balthazar, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution as well. I'd love to do a citizen's arrest of Russia Maddow. Yeah, that's not, yeah. Celeste, Unity4J, she shares the hashtag. Celeste shares the hashtag Unity number 4J. Lazy Leftist, Ron, cover Mike Gravel's launch for president. We have talked about it some. We will talk about it more. I realized I was mispronouncing his name a bunch. I was calling him Gravel. And I apologize for that. But we'll have better coverage soon, other than me mispronouncing his name. But we did talk about it some. I do want to see him on the debate stage. I really do want to see him on the debate stage. So, and Tulsi just made it to the debate stage, which is really cool. So that's good. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Mother of Dragons, breaker of chains, says Frederick. Joanna asked the question, it is a very somber day. Yes, it is. Do you think Assange should have just walked out, or are you happy he made them drag him out full of non-cooperations? I'm happy they made him he made them drag him out. I wish there would have been more press there to cover it, though. It, of course, would have been more effective if there was more press there live on the scene to cover it. And unfortunately, he had no control over that. So yeah. Melissa, I'm out in case there are any spoilers. I intentionally made sure there were no spoilers. Tyrell's or Clinton? Yep, they're the Dems. And yes, we were talking about Game of Thrones. That was how he ended. Check it out. You might like it, you might not. I know some people really enjoy it. Some people don't like it. I like it. And part of the reason I like it was because I think it's fun that there's those parallels. And I wonder if that parallel I just described was kind of on purpose. Lady, I did get your contribution. Thank you so much. And I will get Lucy some treats with that and some catnip. I promise. Guys, we are out of time. And, I know a lot of you guys are giving well wishes for Julian Assange's cat. I certainly share that. It is a weird day. It is a somber day. I have a plane to catch. And again, for the up-to-date information on Julian Assange, I recommend going to unityforj.com and kind of keeping an ear to the ground on social media. It'll give you, tips on what you can do, tips where protests are going on. And guys, I do have some tour dates. I hope to meet some of you in Texas this weekend. Again, Friday, we're in Fort Worth. Saturday, we're in Houston. Sunday, we're in San Antonio. Monday, we're in Austin. I can't wait to see you guys there. May 1st, Indianapolis. Can't wait to see Indianapolis. May 11th through 13th, Graham Elwood and myself will be in Salt Lake City and Boise. June, East Coast. Don't hesitate. Get your tickets now. Graham Elwood and I are touring the East Coast. We're doing 2 nights in Philadelphia. We're doing Boston. We're doing New York City. We're doing New Haven, Connecticut. We're doing Washington, D.C., and we might have some fun special guests on that show. And we're doing Baltimore, Maryland. Guys, tickets are available at ronplacone.com. And July 27th, we're going back to Vegas, baby. Vegas. If you want to support this show and the sustainability, and please do consider becoming a patron, patreon.com/Ron Placone. For Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content, and you help me expand this show. I want to expand this show. I want to do more streams. I want to have more guests. I want to do more stuff. But yeah. And guys, a show update. Oh, a quick update. Moose Girl says the Chicago Symphony Orchestra musicians have just rejected the last best and final offer from the management nearly a month after going out on strike. So they rejected an offer. We'll cover this more on Monday, I'm sure, because there will probably be another update. Oh, wait, we're not going to have a show Monday. We'll cover this next week. So, guys, next week, I will be back on Wednesday. Monday night, we have a show in Austin, so I won't have a show on Monday, and then I fly back Tuesday. So I will be back Wednesday of next week. Our next Get Your News On with Ron will be Wednesday of next week, so I'm going to be on the road for a little bit. I will see you then. It'll be fun, and I'm going to try to do some bonus streams later in the week, too, to make up for some lost streams. But, guys, the podcast drops tomorrow. It drops every Friday. Pick it up anywhere you get podcasts, iTunes, all that stuff. But the podcast drops tomorrow, and we will be back on Wednesday. Guys, stay strong out there. Have a good weekend. I wish we had some better Thursday news, but, it's nice knowing that you're not alone in thinking how outrageous this is. So I thank you guys for that, and I hope this has given you a little bit of comfort as well. I really do. And thank you, everybody, for your Super Chat contributions. It means a lot. I appreciate it very much. And, thanks for being the best executive producers in the business. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. Consider the news gotten. That doesn't even make sense. Peace.